Hi, I'm Nicole Ferreira, and today I'm going to be talking about the research I did on the impact of tattoos on employment opportunities. The purpose of this research study was to investigate the relationship between tattoos and employment outcomes among young adults. The primary focus was on examining how tattoos influence job opportunities and exploring the pre existing stereotypes, attitudes, or perceptions towards people with tattoos. Additionally, the study aimed to understand any variations in perception across different demographic groups. Now, why I chose this topic. I chose this topic because I've always been interested in tattoos and intend to get more as I get older. I've also heard people say tattoos can make it harder to get jobs and that they're known as job stoppers, so I wanted to explore why that is and if it is still a common belief. Here's some background on the topic. Tattoos have become increasingly popular in recent years, transitioning from countercultural symbols to mainstream forms of self expression. As body art grows more popular, public opinions of tattoos change, but many people still view tattoos as taboo or unprofessional. Studies show that tattooed individuals are perceived as possessing several negative characteristics, including being less competent, less social, and having worse character. Concerns remain regarding tattoos and their negative impact on employment chances, particularly for young adults entering the workforce. A study found that tattooed applicants were less likely to be hired, offered lower salaries, and rated lower on competence, but not warmth, than applicants without visible tattoos. I based my research on three main questions. The first one being, how do the visibility, size, and content of tattoos influence perceptions of professionalism and suitability for employment? Two, are there significant demographic or cultural differences in accepting tattoos in the workplace? And three, to what extent do college students consider the potential consequences of getting tattoos on their future career paths? One theme discussed in the literature review was tattoos and employment discrimination. Two studies by Henley et al. 2022 and Barrett, Harrigods, and Sturkens 2024 provide important insights into the intersection of tattoos and employment discrimination, specifically concerning the perceptions and treatment of job candidates with visible tattoos. Barrett, Harrigods, and Sturkens study found that job candidates with tattoos were seen less positively in terms of traits like honesty and manageability, even though they had similar chances of getting interviews or being hired as those without tattoos. On the other hand, Henley's study focused on discrimination against women with tattoos, especially for supervisor roles. They found that these women were offered lower salaries and were less likely to get hired for such positions, often because of stereotypes about tattooed people being less competent. These studies show that workplace discrimination against tattooed individuals is still a very real issue. Tattooed individuals are not only perceived more negatively, but their salaries are lower solely because of the fact that they have body art. For my research design, I utilized a mixed method approach. To begin, I sent out an online survey through Google Forms to college students aged 18 to 23 and interviewed 3 hiring managers. The survey was sent out via Instagram and text messages. Participants signed a consent form. The study began with a series of pre-questions on the participants' age, gender, and cultural background. Multiple choice options for questions were divided into 6 categories, them being demographic, tattoo experience, perceptions of tattoos in the workplace, cultural and or demographic differences in acceptance, future career considerations, and personal reflections. The study spanned 2 weeks, during which the interviews and surveys were conducted both online and in person. The questions in the interview sought to understand the perceptions hiring managers have of tattooed individuals and if tattoos prevent applicants from being hired. I chose a mixed method approach because it allowed for many quick responses from the younger demographic, while also getting in-depth interview answers from managers. This method allowed for well-rounded research data. The following 6 figures present the key findings of the study, illustrating varying perceptions of tattoos in professional settings. Figures 1A and 1C show the gender and cultural background of the participants, which gives us a better understanding of the diverse perspectives in the study. This background helps us see how different groups might view tattoos in professional settings. To begin, Figure 3 illustrates the varying levels of concern regarding tattoos' impact on employment. While responses were mixed, about 75% of participants expressed lower to neutral concern, which ranged from scores of 1 to 3, with 23.2% being not at all concerned. However, 25% indicated higher concern, which was through the scores of 4 to 5, showing that while tattoos are largely seen as personal expression, some still perceive potential career implications. These findings in Figure 3 highlight the ongoing discussion about workplace acceptance of tattoos among college students. Now, Figure 5 highlights demographic differences in how professionalism is perceived for tattooed individuals. While most respondents remained neutral, 64.5%, 17.7% viewed tattoos as very professional and 12.9% as somewhat professional. European females ranked highest in the very professional category at 6.45%, while Hispanic females led in the somewhat professional category at 4.84%. Asian males had the lowest percentage at 1.61% for somewhat unprofessional. Figure 3 further enforces cultural differences, showing that while most respondents opposed workplace tattoo policies, the Asian demographic was more likely to believe policies should depend on tattoo content. These findings emphasize how cultural and demographic factors shape workplace attitudes towards tattoos. Through qualitative and quantitative analysis, I saw that the visibility of tattoos significantly influences perceptions of professionalism and suitability for employment. There was widespread concern among participants regarding tattoos' implications for employment. Face tattoos are widely viewed as unprofessional. Significant demographic and cultural differences in tattoo acceptance were evident. European females are most likely to view tattoos as very professional. Hispanic females are most likely to view tattoos as somewhat professional. Asian males are most likely to view tattoos as somewhat unprofessional. And of the 62 respondents in this research study, 65.6% believe that organizations should not have tattoo policies, and 14.6% believe that organizations should have tattoo policies. Challenges and takeaways of the study. One difficulty I faced while collecting data was organizing the responses to the cultural background question of the questionnaire. It was challenging to categorize everyone's answers. If I were to make any changes to the study, I would convert this question into a multiple choice format and ask participants to select their continent of origin. This project improved my research skills by allowing me to learn how to create various types of graphs when combining different research results together. Here are the references I used in my presentation, and thank you for listening.